Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Chaz Kayado, and today what I'd like to discuss is SMART goals. So whether you're a teacher or someone who is in the business world, you may have heard of SMART goals, but assuming that you haven't, or maybe you're a college student right now and you haven't been exposed to SMART goals yet, we're going to go over that, and hopefully by the end of the video you'll have an idea what SMART goals are, how to set them, and then hopefully you're already thinking about how to set some of your own SMART goals. So what are SMART goals? SMART is an acronym. So the S stands for specific, the M stands for measurable, the A stands for achievable, the R stands for realistic, and the T stands for time-bound or time-oriented. So what this does, it's a system for people to set up goals, but they're not just, they won't allow you to set up a simplistic goal that really won't show you if you've accomplished something major. So for instance, I'll do this one with my students. I'll say, does anyone want to make more money next year than they made this year? And universally, everyone will say yes, right? And so I'd say that's a great goal to have, right? To make more money next year. Students would agree, yeah, that's a great goal to have. So I will then ask them, okay, so you've now made 1 penny more this year than you made last year. You've accomplished their goal. You've accomplished your goal. And, of course they're going to say, well, that doesn't sound good. And I, I get to tell them, well, that's because we didn't have the full picture of the goal when we set it. We only used a few words that made it sound good, but it wasn't something that was what we would call a SMART goal. So we could change that. We could change that goal and we could say, well, specific, we already know the specific. In this specific example, we're talking about money, right? But it could be anything. It could be GPA, it could be the number of classes that you take next year. It could be, really anything, but it's specific, all right? So we know in that example, we're dealing with money. Measurable, okay? Measurable means that it has to be able to be measured. So one of the problems with a goal like, I want to feel good next week. Well, how do you measure that? How do you know if you've accomplished that goal? And so if it's not measurable, you can't really tell if it was achieved or not. So we need to be very specific with our language in order to determine if we can measure it or not. So we want it to be measurable. It has to be either a yes, no answer. There cannot be any gray area. You either did the thing or you didn't do the thing. So attainable. This is really important. So in that example of making money, would it be realistic to say, I want to double the money I made this year? Well, if you're a high school student and you barely worked, that's probably pretty realistic. But if you are an adult that's been in your career for several decades, doubling your money in 1 year is probably not a realistic goal. So what we need to do is we need to set a realistic goal. I want to make 4% more next year than I made this year. It's very realistic. It's within the bounds of what most people can expect to make year over year, with a few variables there. So we've gotten to the A. So moving on to the R, which is realistic. So this does have some overlap, in my opinion, with the attainable. Okay, so it has to be something that is attainable. And if I said some of the things related to realistic under the A for attainable, I apologize. But they do have a lot of correlation in my opinion. So realistic meaning that it is something that we're actually going to accomplish, and just to reiterate, attainable meaning something that we can actually do. It's something that we can physically attain, right? But the A and the R, attainable, realistic, those are not interchangeable, but very, very related. So lastly, time bound. Time bound, meaning that we need to set a limit in order to accomplish our goal. So if I said I want to double my money and then never set a time goal, well, maybe I could achieve that 30 years from now. But the state of the the state of the money that I'm using may be completely different. Then we may have rapid inflation. So you never know, right? So we don't want to go too far out when we're setting our goals, but we also don't want to have no time at all. So we really need to think about, is this a short-term goal? If it's a short-term goal, then it really needs to be within a year. Okay, so I know that if I say I want to make 3 to 4% more, specifically, let's just say 4% more next year than I did this year, well, that is a 1-year short-term goal. We know that we can accomplish it. Your medium-term goals are going to be 1 to 5 years. So, that's pretty straightforward as well. And then long-term goals are going to be between that 5 to 10 year range. Does that mean you can never set goals beyond 10 years? No, but at the same time, except for very few things, beyond 10 years is really difficult. I know that me as an adult, if you asked me 10 years ago what I would be doing now, where I would be, it would be completely different. And I know for many people, especially especially people my age and younger, so you're talking about people in their 40s and younger, you are you're much more likely to switch careers than people in their 50s and older. So just understand that not to say you can never set those long-term 10-year plus goals, but you just have to be really careful what you're setting, because your situation may be different, especially if it's a professional career type of goal. You may be better off setting a lot of short-term, intermediate, and then those long-term goals between 5 and 10 years, rather than saying 30 years from now. Especially imagine if you're a 25-year-old and you're watching this video right now, you might be saying 30 years from now I want to be retired. I want to retire when I'm 55. Okay, that is great. I'm not trying to dissuade you from wanting to retire when you're 55, but we just don't know the state of what the country or world will look like in 30 years. Even 5 to 10 years, there can be a lot of we don't even know. There's a lot there's a lot of variables involved even in that long of a time frame. So anyways, without going on too much longer, just know that it's better to set SMART goals, because they're easy to tell if you accomplish them or if you did not accomplish them. And at the end of the day, that's the whole point of setting goals, is to achieve what we set out to do. And we want to reduce ambiguity by setting these SMART goals. So if you have anything you'd like to add, or if anything that I missed, please go ahead and comment down below. But I appreciate you watching this video, and I'll see you guys next time.